we're as optimistic about Bitcoin as we ever have been.
Cathie Wood's Ark Invest has said that she is super bullish on Bitcoin, and should you be too? Previously, Cathie Woods invested in Grayscale Bitcoin Trusts. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is one of the first securities solely and passively invested in Bitcoin BTC, so it allows you as an investor to gain exposure to BTC in the form of a security without having all the hassle of having to buy Bitcoin and try and store it. However, according to website Decrypt, Cathie Woods Ark Investors sold off the remaining Grayscale Bitcoin Trust shares. This is around $200 million worth. Selling off those GBTC holdings, she has then invested $100 million in another Bitcoin ETF. $100 million-ish to buy Bitto. $100 million was approximately 4.3 million shares of ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF Bitto. And this was in Ark W, which is Ark Invest Next Generation Internet ETF. This made up nearly 5%. This made up nearly 5% of the portfolio. But why is she so bullish on Bitcoin, and why buy it? Bitcoin was the world's first decentralized cryptocurrency. It's considered a digital or virtual currency. It was created in 2009 to facilitate peer-to-peer instant payments. But who created it? An anonymous name, Satoshi Nakamoto, is a name presumed by a person or persons who developed Bitcoin. People believe it's Dorian Nakamoto. Others believe it may be Craig Wright as being Satoshi. Some people, some conspiracy theorists, even believe that Satoshi Nakamoto could be a CIA agent, although there's no direct evidence linking the CIA to Bitcoin's creation. Around the world continue to waste money, continue to dilute, continue to print paper. This day and age with inflation rising, you can see the appeal of a decentralized currency. Decentralized currency is becoming more appealing to everyday people. Decentralized currency refers to a digital currency that refers to bank-free methods, so without using a middleman or a third party. Who is using Bitcoin? Back in 2018-2019, I was on an island in the Philippines, and there was an ice cream parlor, ice cream stand that was accepting Bitcoin back then. Fast forward now to 2022, if you go to X and you look at documenting BTC, they'll show you over 100 shops, restaurants, hotels accepting Bitcoin on that island, Boracay, in the Philippines. It's paradise and it's absolutely beautiful. And now there are so many different vendors, shops, restaurants, hotels that are accepting Bitcoin as a currency. For Bitcoin, there are no gas fees as such, but when the term gas fee was created, probably during the time of Ethereum, Bitcoin was before that. So instead of gas fees, it's known as network fees or miners fees. Are there any big companies that are using Bitcoin and accepting Bitcoin? Well, there was some commotion when Tesla invested in Bitcoin, but you can see these companies accept Bitcoin even now. You've got Microsoft in there, you've got Virgin Galactic, PayPal, you've got Twitch over here, you have KFC down there, Home Depot, AMC theaters. You can go to the theater and pay in Bitcoin. Starbucks, Subway, Amazon, Etsy, even Burger King. You can buy a juicy burger. Cryptocurrency with Bitcoin. Up when we take a look at KFC, KFC Canada decided to accept Bitcoin for a limited time in exchange for the Bitcoin bucket. So they released a bucket that you can only pay with Bitcoin, a crypto mill deal. Just use traditional methods. Well, when you go to the banks and you want to send money internationally to your family and abroad, for example, here's World Remit. They said every bank is different, but in general, you can expect them to take as much as 3 to 4% of your total transfer as a fee when you send money internationally. What is the maximum supply of Bitcoins? 21 million Bitcoins, and they expect to mine all the Bitcoins by the year 2140, of which no new Bitcoins can be mined, so 21 million is the Bitcoin limit. As an investor, years ago we heard of Bitcoin. I was still 18, I think, or 19 when I first heard of Bitcoin. I didn't invest back then. I didn't know what it was. And I know some friends that actually made purchases using Bitcoin back in the day then. Some investors may see, a potentially attractive investment in Bitcoin for several reasons. Now, ChatGPT generated this. They said the limited supply, 21 million coins, creates this scarcity model. And this scarcity compares it to metals like gold. And some investors see it as a hedge against inflation, because you can't mine any more Bitcoins. 21 million is the amount. So decentralization. So because it operates on a decentralized network of computers, it's not controlled by any single government or institution. So it appeals to those who are concerned about the manipulation of traditional currencies. We've said it's a bit like gold. They call it digital gold because it can hedge and is resistant to inflation. After those 21 million Bitcoins, you can't just go back and start printing more Bitcoins. So in terms of the growing acceptance between major companies, small companies, countries around the world, like El Salvador, for example. Over these years, over the last decade or so, the acceptance of Bitcoin has been growing. Because of the global accessibility, it makes it also quite attractive to people around the world because you can transfer and access Bitcoin from anywhere in the world as long as you have an internet connection. This feature makes it particularly appealing with regions that have limited access to traditional banking systems. It's also shown that, significant price appreciation over the years and its short existence has attracted investors for high returns. So I remember there was a point of time where a lot of people with wealth here in London were only accepting payments in Bitcoin for their houses. So they were all selling off their houses across London and accepting Bitcoin payments. Others believe in the blockchain technology behind Bitcoin, which is considered revolutionary. When speaking of the global, worldwide adoption of Bitcoin and how it's been growing, El Salvador as a country began to purchase, boatloads of Bitcoin. It spent nearly $90 million, $85.5 million between September 2021 and January 2022. This is not financial advice, entertainment only. I can't tell you what to buy or sell. But here it states, don't invest more than 10% of your portfolio in risky assets like Bitcoin. There's a lot of people I know who have got really heavy into crypto. They've bought Ethereum, Bitcoin, Inc., for example. Bitcoin do I own? I own 0.00001% of my portfolio is Bitcoin. That's mostly because I've invested most of my money into stocks and companies that I've researched over years. I do want to buy a bit more Bitcoin because I believe, in terms of inflation, after seeing what's happened after the pandemic and seeing how much everything continues to go up and how money is just getting weaker, the buying power of the pound here in the UK is just getting weaker and weaker, and going to the supermarket and realizing that you can't spend 30 quid and feed yourself for a week anymore, like with a balanced diet and all good foods. You have to spend so much more money now. Just seeing that and seeing how, a lot of the money, I was looking at some contracts and I was just thinking to myself, the government is just wasting taxpayer money, like the PPE contracts, for example, where billions of pounds just go off to their mates' companies, disappears. And that's taxpayers' money that could have been invested in, and we could have done so much more. We could have invested in the NHS, our National Health Service, and all that PPE contract as well. A lot of it we couldn't even use, like the protective gear during the pandemic. So yeah, it's just really interesting to see how money gets wasted every year. No one's held accountable. Every time a party gets into power, it feels like money is just completely wasted. And inflation just keeps going up. The cost of living keeps going up. So more and more people are being pushed into looking at alternatives and different places to store their money so they can have better buying power in the future. If you enjoyed this video and you want me to cover anything else in terms of cryptocurrency, or if you're telling me to look at certain companies, I'll have a little cheeky gander. Hit me with the thumbs up, hit me with the subscribe. Please remember, none of this is financial advice, it's for entertainment only. And I'll see you in the next video, baby. Mr. Investor over and out, baby.